Hey guys, as we discussed in a previous video, I want to start my Mora knife series today, or just so I can brush up on Swedish pronunciation and what Ulrika taught us, Morakniv series today. And the reason that's important to me is someday I want to go to Sweden and take a tour of the Mora factory. I love them so much. So I figured for our inaugural edition of the Mora knife series that I'm doing, we would start with the Mora Classic No. 1. Now the reason that I'm doing this series is because Mora knives are great tools, great knives for beginners and experienced woodsmen alike. They're tremendous tools, they're inexpensive, and you get a lot for your money. So the Mora Classic No. 1, there's also a Mora Classic No. 2 and a Mora Classic No. 3. They're very similar models, they just are of different sizes. So the Mora Classic No. 1, a lot of you might be familiar with this design. For those of you who are not, it has a Scandi grind, just like all of Mora knives, a red ochre birch handle. The blade length is about 3.8 inches on the Mora Classic No. 1. It has a total knife length of 7.8 inches. I think the spec said that it weighed about 2.8 ounces, if I'm not mistaken. And the blade length, the blade thickness is thin. It's about 2 millimeters thick. The Mora Classic No. 1 comes with the classic standard Mora sheath. It's hard plastic. A lot of guys don't like these sheaths. Not only that, I've heard some guys go as far as to call them garbage. I disagree. I don't mind the Mora factory sheaths at all. The plastic is hard, so it's tough. And as far as the Mora Classic sheaths, the way that the belt hook or the belt loop is designed, it has two circular tops and really serves well as a neck knife. Not only that, in wearing it as a neck knife, it is of thin profile. The sheath itself is very thin profile, so it doesn't print at all in your shirt when you're wearing it as a neck knife. And they take well to modifications. I mean, you could see here, I've put some Ranger bands on it and I whipped around some paracord. So with just a few simple modifications, you can add whatever you want to this sheath and make it your own. So that being said, this Mora Classic No. 1 was a gift to me from my friend Joey at wildernesskydex on eBay. Thank you very much, by the way, Joey. Mine came with a sheath made by Joey, which is the OD green or military green sheath for this. And it's perfect. And for those of you guys who don't know, the Mora Classic models are very tough to make kydex for. There's nothing for the kydex to really grip onto. As you can see, the red ochre birch handle is pretty much straight across. It's relatively slick too, so when you're using the Mora Classics, you gotta pay attention to what you're doing. You'll be okay, but they're not really made for forward motion, using forward motion or stabbing motions with the knife. So with that being the case, a lot of times the kydex sheaths don't have anything to really grip onto, but look at that. This is just tremendous work by Joey here. That sheath is phenomenal. And I wear them, as you guys know or you've seen, I wear them as an upside down neck hang. And that thing's not going anywhere. And then I can just reach up, pull it out. So if you're interested in something like this for your Mora Classic, if you have one or you're looking to get one, Wilderness Kydex is the place to buy them. Mora knives are 1095 high carbon steel, which I like very much. It is my favorite kind of steel. There's better steels, but $10.95 and the price point on these knives completely does it for me. One more thing you guys should know is Mora knives, the majority of them do not come with a squared off spine. That's pretty rounded and it's not going to strike a ferro rod right off the bat. If we have time, I'm going to show you the modifications that I do with my Moras, and you can take care of that problem in no time. So when someone tells you, oh, I don't like that knife, or I wouldn't buy that knife because it doesn't have a 90-degree spine, that's very easy to fix, guys. But I will show you what this is good for, regardless, with no modifications at all, what you can do with this spine for getting your fire going. So I think that's about it on the description, guys. A little bit smaller than the Mora Classic No. 2 is the Mora Classic No. 1. Now let's move you around here and we'll do some bushcraft things with this knife and see what we got.